recording. So welcome to Visual Communications 115.3. We're in our third week of working through how to use Illustrator. And I'm going to start tonight with the downloaded files from this week with the compound path. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that on every single one of these projects, you can read through yourself step by step, and I'm actually going to follow the steps exactly so that what I'm doing and what you're doing are exactly the same, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about it to describe what's going on. Okay, so what we're going to do with the compound path is first identify what a compound path is and identify what a path is. And so basically, I told you before that everything in Illustrator is based on a path. Now, when you create a shape in Illustrator, the path is created for you when you create that shape. So as I create a square right here, you can see that a path is automatically generated for me when I create that square. And on this path, you can use the direct selection tool or the A tool, or click A on your keyboard, and you can control this path with the anchor points. These are the building blocks, the bricks of Illustrator, and how everything is created in Illustrator is through a path and through anchor points, and those connected together is a closed path. You could also have, I'm just going to throw something out here. I'm not expecting you to do the pen tool right now, but you can also create a path on your own, and you could have an open path that doesn't actually close, and that's called an open path. And on these same paths, you'll see that there's anchor points that have created the design in here. I'm going to delete this because now that I've identified what a path is, and these paths there's 4 paths on here. There's 4 connecting. There's actually a path in between each one of these, and it's connecting it together. However, it's one shape. It's considered one object. So what a compound path is when it combines 2 paths together. Let me close that. Just in case we're not on the same page, and I just want to ensure that everybody's looking at the same tools that I am, will you please ensure under Window Workspace that you have Essentials Classic selected so that you have the same tools that I do on both sides of my screen. So here's one path shape. Here's another path shape. What we're going to do is follow the directions. We're going to create a compound path, which is going to combine these shapes together. So using your selection tool, which is the top left, when you hover over it, you see that's the selection tool. Select the small light purple circle and place it onto the large maroon circle. And it says to do your best to center it. However, then it tells you that it wants you to align it both horizontally and vertically. Now, what I think they're wanting you to do is learn how to use the top tools across here. And there you'll see one at the top called Align. You can click on Align, and you can see that the Align tool gives you a lot of ways to center things together horizontally, vertically. It also has ways to distribute things, and in the future we will use this tool. However, in order to align something together, you have to have more than one path selected to align. You can't just align one thing. It doesn't align to anything. The Align tool assumes that you have 2 or more things selected that you want to have aligned. So in order to align this, I'm going to, with the selection tool selected, select both of these objects by either creating a square around both of them to select them, or you can select one and then hold down your shift key and select the other one, which ensures that both of them are selected. And you can tell because the bounding box has included both of these shapes. Now to ensure that they're aligned, I'm going to click Align. And I'm going to click horizontal align to make sure that you can see graphically illustrated. It's the same up and down. And then I'm also going to click vertically distribute, which is side to side. So you can tell that if I had these off and I selected both of them and clicked align, I could go and horizontally and vertically align them back together. With the circles aligned and selected, you're now going to go to Object and select Compound Path. So the object is at the top where you see File, Edit, Object, Type, Select, Effect, View, Window, Help. Under Object, you may not see this right when you might be looking for it in the list, and that's because it's all the way at the bottom. So if you push the arrow down, like I have a smaller screen, and you go to Compound Path, you can just select Make, and this will combine these two shapes together to create one shape for the outline. So when I did that, it jotted out, blotted out the middle one, and it created one shape that has created two paths to create the same shape. So this is considered a compound path. Now it's telling you because it wants you to pick this up and see that you can see through this and that there's just not a white circle right here in the middle. It's wanting you to pick this up and just see that you can see this, see through this shape now, and it's created an outline in the middle of the path. In a few minutes, we're going to learn how to do the same thing through another tool called the Pathfinder. Now let's do the same thing with the orange star. So what we're going to do is cut an orange star out of the blue square. And in order to do that, we can pick up the star, place it on top of the blue square. If you want to ensure that it's aligned within the blue square, you can select both the shapes, go to your Align tool, and align horizontally and vertically. It seems to me like it's not very aligned, but I'm going to do a little tweaking and do it on. I feel like the top was too far up. Ensure both of them are selecting, and then again, go to Object at the top, go to Compound Path, and click Make. Does anybody have any questions with this assignment?
Yeah, really quick. Can you show me again how you made the circles go together?
Sure. So I'm going to delete this one just so that I can start over again, and I'm going to create two circles. Just so you know, I'm holding down my Shift key so that I can make a perfect circle. And then I'm going to hold down my Shift and make another perfect circle. Just for illustration purposes, I'm going to make this a different color just to make some contrast. And I'm going to place the red circle on top of the purple circle. To align those, I'm going to copy both of those together. If you don't have classic mode up, you may not see a line at the top across the top of the screen. Another way you can get a line up is you can, I want to see, I can't remember what the little icon looks like, but you can also go under Window and you can select Align, and the Align tools will show up. So there's always multiple ways. All of these selections have a window that go along with them, and so you can either select it through the window or you can select the shortcut on your tool. Right here, I can say that I want to horizontally align these and vertically align these. You can see that if this was off, I could select these again and I could do horizontal and vertical alignment. I don't know why it's not wanting to cooperate with me tonight.
The alignment's over to the right,
Yeah, it is.
top row to.
And just so you can understand this, oh, which one is it? I don't think I have that one up. Stroke. No. You can take this window and you can actually pull it over to your sidebar right here, and it will show up in your window right here. You can also expand this window. I'm gonna close out. Well, I need the Pathfinder in just a minute. I'm gonna put it right here. Um, you can also expand this window so that you can see the names of them. Uh, and you can scroll down through them. However, I find that it becomes, unless you're using these windows, it becomes a little bit busy over here. So I like to keep my window consolidated and closed where there's just an icon. And when I click on it, it'll swing that window out and let you use just those tools. And then you can close them back by clicking the arrows. Does anybody
So
have any?
how did you do that circle again? I think you said
Oh,
shift and
yeah,
some.
I didn't finish. Okay. You click Object. You go to Compound Path and click Make.
No, I got that part. I seen you just draw the circle with the cursor from the
Oh, I
shortcut.
just went over to the Shapes tool and I selected the circle. And then I came out here and you can either click and you can put in the information for the circle, or you can manually just draw a circle. If you hold down the Shift key, it will make a perfect circle. Otherwise, you can draw all kinds of different shapes out of circle. Does that make sense? Doesn't that look like the Roadrunner coyote that he's going to jump in and disappear out of the road?
You got it.
Any other questions on this? Okay, if you're done with this file and you've completed it, click File, Save As, navigate to your completed folder, which you'll go back a couple folders back. This is going to be in the 3rd week, so I'm going to create a new folder. I'm just calling mine something different just so that I distinctly know which one I'm in when I zip my files together and I make sure I'm in the right folder. And double click on that one. You're going to type your last name, your first name, and the name of this file, which is compound. And we're completed with this project. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, I got one.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when I try to just reopen the files we've done before, I get a folder saying like fonts and certain things are missing, and I might hit ignore just to get through it, and like all the work I did it be gone.
Let me look at that when we get done here and let's see your screen, okay?
All right.
Okay, I'm going to close this project out. Now I'm going to go to the clipping mask. Um, Now I need to describe to you a little bit about the clipping mask. You can see that my window isn't completely in here and it's kind of hard to understand what's going on if you can't see everything. So ensure that you can see the whole window by either going under View and saying Fit Artboard in Window or Fit All in Window. Or like you see on the shortcut right here, you can hit Control 0 and it will do the same thing. So here's both of them here. I want to talk to you about the clipping mask and give you a description of what's going on here because it does seem strange to do this on just shapes. A lot of times when I'm doing clipping mask, it's a mask tool in Photoshop, but basically you're masking out an area. So what I want to do is just give you an example of what you can use this for. I don't want you to follow along with me in this project. I don't want you to do this. I just want you to see why I would use this tool, which will help you conceptually understand what's going on with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a side bar here, and I'm going to go online and I'm just going to go and download. I'm going to walk you through. I'm doing this purely raw, and I'm just going to do a headshot of an employee. And let's say that I have tasked you with creating the headshots that we need to go. I've given you a group of photos and I need you to create them all in a circle because I want to put them on the website and I want them all to be displayed as the same size. So what I'm going to do is just go and download something for purely demonstration purposes. I'm going to throw this in my downloads folder. Okay, that's a head Rocco Roxy employee heads JPEG. Okay, I'm gonna get back out of this. And then I'm gonna show you how I would use a clipping mask. So basically, um, we're gonna use this tool later, but I'm gonna place this picture in my document for a second for the illustration. And there it is right there. And you can see that this comes in as a square. And what I've asked you to do is I said, hey, can you please make all of our employees' photos into a circle so that we can use them on our website? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the circle tool and I'm going to use it. I'm going to clip out the picture and mask out the picture in the circle, basically. And what I'm going to do is select both files so that the program understands that I'm trying to get the picture inside the circle here, and I'm going to go under Object, and I'm going to create a clipping mask. And I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to do a clipping mask and make. And what's going to happen is now you see that I have this picture. Interestingly, the picture behind here is still editable. So it's still within the circle, and I could technically go in and I didn't mean to go into that in short. I could technically go in here and I could make this circle smaller. I could have multiple staff photos and I could create individual files of each one of these, or I could maybe create a PDF that has like the names of them all underneath here and make like a company profile for somebody that has the directory of who works at our location. Now that I've done this, I think it's going to make better sense with the shapes, just using the shapes because it looks similar to the compound where it looks like it's just cutting out a shape, but technically what's behind the mask is still editable in the project. So let's follow the directions. You're going to create a clipping mask for this assignment utilizing the shapes below. What you need to do is using your selection tool, select on the small purple star and place it on the green square. Do your best to center it as you place it on top of the circle. And then in number 2, it tells you to go align it. So I'm going to go to my selection tool on the top left of my toolbar, and I'm going to pick up the star. And maybe I don't center it right. Maybe I just throw it on there. So in order to get it centered both horizontally and vertically, I'm going to select both tools. I'm going to go to my Align panel, either on the right through Align or at the top on Align. And I'm going to center it horizontally and center it vertically for the both shapes to be right on top of each other. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the same directions that I just did with the picture, and I'm going to go Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And so basically what it looks like is basically the purple star is cut out, but the green box is behind there. And the way I know that is because I can select the green box. Watch it not work while I'm showing you some. I can select the green box and move it around inside of. What's cool about that is I'm telling you this because I've had this experience personally, is sometimes when photographers take pictures, they take different portion sizes of people's heads. And like some pictures will have a little head, and some picture the head will be a little bit bigger. But you can control how big that picture is inside of the mask and ensure that everybody's head is the same size inside that circle. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to do the clipping mask for the blue circle and the green square. We're going to align those again by selecting both of them and ensuring they're aligned. And then while they're selected, I can go under Object and go under Clipping Mask, click Make, and you see that it turned green again. I can double click on this and I can move the green box around in the circle and make adjustments to that green box so that it displays properly the way I want it to display. When you turn in this project, there should be a green star and a green circle, and that means that you've done it correctly. Does anybody have any questions before I save this file?
I'm not seeing how you transform the green in it as well. Because when I'm trying to adjust it, it's just moving the star.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll start over from scratch just so that we have the same information. I'm going to create a box. Hold the shift down, it'll make it perfect. I'm going to create a star. If you just click, you can ensure that it has 5 sides. Click OK. I'm going to make this a different color. I'm going to make it purple. Then I'm going to pick up the star and I'm going to move it over the square. Have you got that far?
Yes.
Then you're going to go make sure that they're both selected and you're going to go to Object, Clipping Mask, and click Make. And what it does is it has left that green box behind there, but it has cut out the star as a mask.
So
You-
when you went to look for the headshots of the employees, that was just an example.
That was just an example. I was just showing
Uh,
you how I use masks. I use masks for, that was one way that I use masks so that I can place photography in shapes.
When you were moving the star earlier, it moved as if the square is still there.
It is. The square is still there. So let me do the picture again so I can do the illustration one more time.
Mine is not doing that. That's where my question is.
Your square is not moving around
No, when I've tried to move the star is adjusting, like it's getting smaller and bigger. It's not.
because you're doing like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so what's happening is you're selecting on the mask itself. If you double click, it will select on the square behind that and give you an option to move the square around. Maybe I didn't say double click to get to the background picture. Does it work now?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're going to save this. I'll know that you've completed it because there's a green star and a green circle. And we'll do File, Save As, navigate to the completed folder. Go to week 3, and I'm going to highlight everything except put my last name first, then my first name, and then clipping mask. So we've completed 2 projects that have to be turned in this week. Does anybody have any questions before I continue on? Okay, so I'm going to bring up the file called Pathfinder, and I'm going to attempt to go through the Pathfinder tools in Illustrator. All right, you'll see when you bring this up, it is a rather large file. You can see all the windows by going either hitting Control 0 on your keyboard shortcut or Control Alt 0 to see everything all in the same window. So actually there's only two artboards. These separate white sections on your Illustrator are called artboards. And it's important that you distinguish, sidebar here, that you distinguish that there are different artboards because you can technically export just one artboard. However, I'm telling you that when you save an Illustrator file, it saves all of the artboards. This is important because sometimes you will create the same logo and you will want to design it maybe 3 different ways to give the client options to pick from the logo that you're designing. You don't have to use 3 separate files in order to do that, or 3 separate tabs. You can create multiple artboards in the same project in Illustrator, and when you save it, it will save all 3 of them together. However, you can export out JPEGs of just one artboard so that you can have 3 files to give the client, even though you're looking at one file for the Illustrator for AI. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That was your gold nugget for tonight. That wasn't required. Okay, so I'm going to go and zoom in on the artboard on the left. You can click on your zoom tool and you can click and drag your mouse to the right and it will zoom in the area on the artboard. You can also hit the space bar and you can see that my mouse turns to a hand and I can pick this artboard over and I can center it on the screen. You can also go under view and click fit artboard in window and it will fit this artboard completely in the window. Actually, it didn't do the right one, but there we go. I'm back at the right place. Okay. Now what we're going to be looking at is the Pathfinder window. You can find that under the window called Pathfinder, which you can find under Window, Pathfinder, or you can click on the Pathfinder window in your accessible window shortcuts over on the right. If you have to open up this window and you don't see it over here, you can click on the tab of this window and you can add it to your tools that are on the side of your artboard so that you can have access to all of your artboard. In a future class, I will show you how to create your own settings. So right now, where I keep telling you at the very beginning to go under the workspace and do Essentials Classics, that's just so that we're starting out all in the same place. I don't think the Pathfinder is a default on that. So if I click on that again, or if I click on a different one, I think it might go away. Let me go to automation, and then let me go back to, this is when to think about stuff. Let me go back to classic mode. There we go. And you'll see that it didn't default over here because that's not the default. However, I did put it right there, so it did pop back into place, which is great. Okay, I will show you how to create your own settings so that when you get things set up the way you like it in the future and you put things where you want them, you can always go back to your settings and everything will be set up every time you come back in the way you want it. Okay, so open up the Pathfinder tool window, and we're going to go through these tools one at a time using each one of these different selections on the Pathfinder. I do want to tell you in advance that some of these are extremely similar and it does feel like that they're redundant. However, I'm going to tell you the difference of what's happening in the background, even though the foreground might look like the same product for the tool. And the first one is the most basic one, and we're basically unifying 2 paths together. So where right now these could be considered a compound path if we use the compound path under object, we actually want it to be one path that includes both of these objects. This kind of looks like MasterCard to me, and this would be maybe if you were creating a snowman and you wanted it to be white and it all connected together. So basically, you're just going to drop one over the other one and ensure that they're both selected, and then you're going to combine or unite the paths together, and you can see that it creates one outline of this shape. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, these are pretty simple. I'm going to go and do the minus front tool, which you can see is the next tool over. And if you think that this is going to subtract from the front, then maybe you are pretty smart because I'm going to select both shapes and I'm just going to select minus the front, and it's basically going to take off the front portion of this and leave the back shape. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question with this one specifically.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted the top left corner of the pink one to be directly in the middle. Is there a way we could do that, like with the line or something like that?
Say it one more time.
So the pink square
Oh,
that was just taken away, is there a way that we can align it the top left corner perfectly in the middle of the green one?
like that?
Um, well, kind of like the way it's supposed to be, but like the corner in the middle.
Oh, like that, where the corner
Yeah,
is
like
in the
that.
middle.
Hmm.
I know that there is a way you can do that. You can see the center of that tool right there, and you can ensure that this center and that center are aligned over each other. Have you done this before in another class where you've had to do that? Is you're trying to get this one exactly in the center like that?
No, I was just curious.
There is a tool that we'll use in just a second that will actually perform something very similar to this, and maybe you'll be able to achieve what you're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to go back into the intersect. And if you think that this is only going to show the intersections between
Can you
these
do that
two,
one more time?
sir, would you say
I
to
said, could you do that one more time with the green?
this
Could you
one?
do that one more time with the green and pink square? Yeah,
Sure. I'm just going to highlight both of these, and I'm going to select minus the front. Did you see it that time?
mine is still pink.
Yeah, it is a lemon. Do you have any other questions, Devon?
I'm still trying to still trying to work that box. My box is still pink, so I'm just trying to figure it out. That's it.
Okay, just put the pink box on top of the green box and then select the minus front. We may have to come back to that one after the video, okay?
That's fine.
Okay. So I'm going to create these overlapping, these two orange or lemons, yellow, like was stated by Tristan. And if you think that we're only going to see the overlap together, you're correct. So I'm going to ensure that both of them are selected. And then I'm going to use this little tool right here called intersect. And the only thing that's going to be left is the middle, just like the icon. And it leaves me with a lemon. Does anybody have any questions about the intersect tool? Okay. Then to move on, I want to mention, okay, one thing that you want to note about these first three tools is that the first three tools are creating one path. It's only one path. So if you look very carefully, there's only one path for each one of these. Okay. I'm surprised this doesn't go in actually. It should be one path. And now we get to a tiny bit of a different category because this looks almost just like the compound path. So this to me is a bit of a duplicate under the object. I have to have them both selected to show you, but under the object where it's creating a compound path and make, I feel like this is a very similar tool where you're excluding one shape off of another, and it's in fact creating a compound shape. So I feel like it's a little bit of a duplicate on here. So maybe you can just make a mental note that there's probably 10 different ways to do the same thing in Illustrator when you're working. And then this I've just shown you two different ways to do the same thing basically. So basically you want to exclude the green circle from the pink circle. And in order to do that, you're going to select both of them and you're going to select the tool called exclude, and it's going to exclude the top layer off of the bottom layer. Does that make sense?
Yes. Why did it change the color?
Because it's popping it out like it's making it see-through. It's cutting it out. I was going to show you an example of some of these, and I didn't do it while I was doing it, but I kind of want to go back before we do the bottom section because this is really a major part of things that you're learning, except for the trace shape tonight, which is starting in the pen tool. It's almost 7 o'clock, so I'm just going to go real fast, and I'm just going to do these on my own just for fun, just to show you how you can expand these just a little bit. So let's say that you're making your first design, and maybe you're like trying to create like a Mickey Mouse kind of look. You can combine these together. You can align these horizontally. Make sure they're aligned. You can select all of them, turn them black, and then you can just combine them together, and this will be one Mickey Mouse. Very cool, right? This one I had a different idea for. I wanted to create an umbrella, so I went under the ellipse tool. And I drew an umbrella, and to show this example explicitly, I'm going to make the second circles a different color just to give you an example. And I'm going to cut out the second circles from the first circle. I'm going to make a duplicate copy just by holding down the Alt key and clicking. You'll see that my mouse turns to two arrowheads, and I'm going to just move this over and create three of them. And then what I'm going to do is kind of shape these up just a little bit. I'm going to use the second tool, which is the minus the front, and I've created me, in essence, the beginning of an umbrella. Okay. The third one, I didn't have anything but the lemon. I didn't want to come up with anything else. This one right here, I was thinking about it and like, what if you were, what would have holes in it that you would need to make something open to be able to see through? I mean, what if you had, what if you were drawing a student sitting at a desk and you were showing them taking a test and they had a piece of paper and that piece of paper has the holes in it, like you would notice explicitly when you were seeing that, and those holes need to show the desk through what you're doing. So maybe you need to cut out the holes out of the paper so that the paper looked realistic. So if I were doing that, I could punch out these holes by copying these all together, and now the holes are in fact, I'm gonna move this to the front because it's actually behind that green. No, that wasn't what I wanted. I've actually punched out the white holes out of this, and if I move it to the front, you should be able to see through it. It's technically not working the way I thought it would, but let's see. There we go. Do you see how that happened? Okay. Now for the last shapes that are down here on the bottom, it's gonna feel like that they are doing the exact same thing as the top tools do, except I want to point out that everything on the bottom keeps all the shapes together. So where the top is making it into one shape, these are in fact keeping the original path of the second shape when they create it. So for this one right here on the divide, if I were to place the pink shape on top of the green shape, highlight both of them together, and then divide the objects, the first thing you're going to notice is that it feels like it just united the objects together because I can pick them up and move them around. But in fact, what actually happened is it has made a way for these two paths to be disconnected and maintain the outline of the circle on top of the green. Now, the way you do that is you have to ungroup them because right now the two have in fact been grouped together through your divide. But if you right click on it and you ungroup them, you can now see that you can take where these two shapes have intersected and you can pull it apart. And it's maintaining multiple paths, even though it's looks like it's together like that, you can actually pull this apart. Now, I put an example. You're actually going to do charts in this program in another week, but I wanted to give you an example of how you might use this. I'm going to go to the ellipse tool and just create an ellipse down here. And I'm going to go to the line tool and I'm going to draw two lines on top of this. And I'm going to ensure that they're all aligned vertically and horizontally. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to divide this circle. When I do that, it looks like the circle is still one object. However, what it's done is it's divided everything where a path has crossed over on another shape. And the way I can get these objects apart is to ungroup them. I think I may have done it wrong. Let me do that one more time for my illustration. Make sure I get this right. Draw a line through here. I'm going to beef up the line. I'm going to draw another line. Intersect it. Why isn't it doing that right? There we go. Ungroup. Now I can pull them apart. I didn't mean to make that one in the middle like that. I just didn't make it centered. Does that make sense? Like you might do that if you're making like an Easter egg or you're making a pie chart or if you want to create an illustration where you have anybody have any
When you get
questions?
when you get a chance, can you do that? Can you do that all over again? The first one,
Just the first
green,
one?
yeah,
Sure.
the one to the left, the other one.
Oh, sure. I'm going to create a square. This will just be my second illustration. It seems like I have to go over each one of them 2 times. I'm going to make a circle. I'm making this a different color for clarification. I'm going to put the circle over the square, and then I'm going to divide the path up, and it's going to maintain the object. It's going to look like they've merged together, but they haven't. What I have to do to get them apart, however, because I can still move it and it's going to move both of them, is I got to ungroup them. And when I ungroup them, it will in fact allow me to pull the shapes apart where they intersected. Does that make sense?
It ungroup mines are still sticking together.
You selected all of them and right clicked and clicked ungroup.
Yep, I sure did.
You have select all of them and you've clicked this button called divide and they were overlapped.
I think it just broke up now when I done it twice.
Okay. All right, so here we are on the second option under path, and we're basically going to trim off the circle. This one feels like minus front, which is the one right above it. However, just like I keep pointing out to you, these down here maintain the both shapes as a separate. So if I put the pink under the green and I click trim, make sure they're both selected, trim, and then it feels like there's still one shape, but when I ungroup them, it's in fact going to pull this apart and trim off everything that was under the green shape. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Maybe you're making a Pac-Man. You want to do
Uh,
that?
one, one more time, please.
Sure. Take both the shapes together, click the trim, right click them to ensure that they're not grouped together. And then click off of it so that you can pick up one of them and move it apart. Okay, we only have 4 more shapes to go. It's almost 7 o'clock. And I definitely want to get to the deck of cards tonight for sure. Let's do the deck of cards tonight. Okay, here we're on the crop. The crop is just like the intersect. Oh, I don't know why it skipped over. Let's do merge. I'm sorry. The merge is just like the unite because you can see they look exactly the same. But remember again, this is going to maintain both shapes. So if I'm going to merge these together, I'm going to select both of them and I'm going to select merge instead of unite. And it's going to keep the circle. I'm going to ungroup it. I feel like that's almost just like that one over there, which is divide. I feel like I did it wrong. Let me do it one more time. Select both of them and do the crop. There we go. And it cropped out that area. I feel like this is like the mask kind of where you can mask something inside something else. But The circle is actually. Hey, Bayo, you're fast. Okay, let's do the outline real quick and the other one, and we'll be done for this section. Okay, so we basically just want to outline these. Just creating outlines out of the tools. You can go and use the outline tool, and it's just going to outline them, but it's still going to maintain the paths, so you can ungroup them and they're still there. And it's going to pull apart everywhere where it intersected. You see that? And then the minus back is just like the minus front. I'm going to change this to a different color. You can see that the orange is behind the green, and it's going to delete the orange. However, it's going to maintain, well, it should have maintained the back. Maybe it's just like the minus front, but the minus front is up here. The minus back is down here, so it should have maintained both of them. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just like minus front. I guess it's just whichever one you want to use. Right there and right there. It's almost the same thing. Does anybody have any questions about these tools under the Pathfinder?
Oh yeah, sorry, real quick. The divide tool is giving me a lot of trouble. When I go to ungroup it, it says that it's not an option.
Okay, I'm gonna zoom back in right here real quick. I feel like this gave me a problem too when I did it for the first time, but I'm just gonna run through it real quick. I'm going to create a square, and I'm gonna create a circle. I'm gonna ensure my circle is a different color right now, just for I'm going to ensure that I'm on the selection tool. I'm going to cross over both of these, and it's going to, when I select both of them and click the divide button, it's going to keep the shape, but divide it where it intersects. So I'm going to click it once. Both of them are still selected, so I'm going to right click and ungroup. And then I'm going to click off of it for a second, just so that I deselect both of them. And you can see that there's actually 3 different shapes now. There's the outside shape, the inside shape, and the square that's left over.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I just figured it out.
Okay, let's fit this all in a window so we can see it. Where you have here, you should do File, Save As. Go to your completed folder. Add your last name and your first name. Click Save. And now we're done with this project. You have 3 projects done tonight, even though it doesn't say that you have to turn in the clipping one. How about if you turn in the clipping one because you were here tonight and you did do it with me, I will give you an extra 10 bonus points since it was their fault for leaving it off.
Awesome.
Awesome. That's what you get for being here. All right, let's not go to the pen tool tonight. Let's work on the deck of cards. And let's get you started on this project that's due Wednesday night, okay? If you feel like it's 7 o'clock, if y'all feel comfortable moving forward for the second part of this, You will have in fact done what's due on Wednesday night, and you can already turn it in on the discussion and be done with it. Let's see how far we can get because I've been talking a long time. You've been working hard for a long time, and I know it's really hard to learn too many concepts at one time can be extremely confusing in a new software program. So if you haven't already, open up 115.3 carddeckshape.pdf.
Mine just opened as a PDF. I can't edit it on Illustrator.
You can't edit it, that's correct.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm circling the ones that we're going to do. And trace shapes. Okay, the three that we're going to do Wednesday night is going to be the trace shapes, the dog sketch, and assembling the deck of cards. Maybe we'll get to the assembly tonight. Okay, so you should have the PDF opened up in your Illustrator right here. Is this correct? Does anybody have any problem opening this file? Okay. I'm going to zoom in to the very first section of this. And basically, I've already done this. I think maybe I saved it and maybe I'll just leave it there just so that we can make sure we know what color to do. But we're going to walk through and do it together so that you have your own. Do y'all have this right here on the three?
Yes.
It's already showing up with the shapes already made? Okay. Then basically I'll just walk through how they created it and then maybe we can go into the second part of this project. So basically on the shape tool, remember? Oh yeah, your attendance here and your turning in of the clipping project will give you the 10 points. Okay, so basically all they did to create the diamond is they went to the shape tool and they selected the rectangle tool. And you can create a perfect shape, a perfect square by holding down the shift key when you're drawing out a square. Then what they're saying that they did was they rotated that 45 degrees. Now you can already see by going to the corner that it's allowing you to rotate this object. However, if you'll again hold down the shift key, it will automatically rotate the object for you at 45-degree angles. Now what they've done is that no, you won't. Is they went to the selection tool and they've technically went to the anchor points and they've pulled the anchor point out on this square, coming down to make it bigger. And on the right, they have, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, the scale tool. That's right. I forgot about that. My bad. They have in fact used a new tool on the toolbar called the scale tool, and the scale tool is what shifts the square into a rectangle. And here is the scale tool. I've got my mouse on it on the keyboard, on the screen, I mean, and they've technically gone and they have so the scale tool, click on the center of the diamond shape holding down the Alt Shift. Nope. Oh, that one just makes another one. I've tried that before and it didn't work. I think I didn't actually select it. There we go. They basically have moved the anchor point in with this scale tool on the toolbar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this shape and I'm going to make it small again, and this will be my diamond. I can make it bigger by going back to the shape tool and making it fatter again. If you want to work on that, like that. Cool.
So are we just like following along right now?
Yeah, I mean, they're wanting you to make your own, and if you're wanting to prove to me that you did it, maybe you could make it in a different color, and I'm not gonna freak out about it because I really want you to do it so that you can have your own, and maybe that can be something that y'all can talk about in the discussion about cool purple diamond.
Can't like edit it at all. It's like I pasted it onto like a new like form or a letter, but like it pasted like all together.
What?
Like when I pasted it, like it pasted like the whole page together. I can't like select anything except everything on the
Oh, oh, you can't select them like I can?
no.
Oh, it's okay. Can anybody else select these like I can?
I can.
Okay. I'm surprised that it allows us to do that because it is a PDF.
No, I can't select them.
Okay, so you'll in
I
fact,
can select them.
It's just the diamond for me.
okay. Well, it's important that you learn how to make these, and when we assemble the cards together, I know that you could in fact go and just hit copy on this shape and then paste it into the card, which you technically could do. However, we're trying to teach you how to make the shapes so that you can make them yourself whenever you are in a project trying to create them. So it's in your best interest to go through the project and do it. With this one, we're going to make a rectangle again, and we're going to rotate it. And this time, we're going to activate the pen tool and hold down the Alt and Option. So this is the pen tool on the keyboard. It looks like the tip of a pen. And it's allowing us to pull out the sides. Now, I did do this earlier, and it's important that you that you hold down the shift key, because if you don't, what the shift is actually doing is creating it perfectly in uniform while you're moving it. The shift is always the uniform key in Illustrator. Then after you create the heart, you're basically going and changing the color of it to red under your color palette, and you can also select that shape and hit shift and make it smaller.
Mine is not allowing me to pull the path out. It's just creating a line, even though I'm holding shift and selecting the path.
Okay, so let me try it again just so that I can't make my heart pink. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to create a rectangle. Hold down my shift to proportion it. I'm going to go to the rotate on the corner. I'm going to hold down shift to make it proportionally a diamond. Then I'm going to go to the pen tool. And what I'm looking at is, you see that anchor point right there? In between these two anchor points on the corner, do you see the center anchor point? I'm selecting the pen tool, and then I'm going to hold down the Alt key and select that path and pull it out. Now, in order to keep it perfectly symmetrical, I hold down the shift key and it's creating a perfect rounded section for me. Then I'm letting go.
I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I couldn't see the anchor point on mine.
So select the pen tool. You see the anchor point right there?
It's same with mine. I don't have a
It
center
doesn't
anchor point.
show that one on mine.
Yeah, I don't see the anchor point when I click on the pen tool and I hover over the shape.
So like that.
Let me see, pen tool. I think you're creating a pin. I think you're creating the anchor point. You're holding down your mouse and pulling out the shape while holding the Alt. Let me do it again. It is really hard to do for the first time, and I'm not good at this, so I'm not helping you a lot, but you're kind of going through the middle and you're holding on the Alt and the Shift and you're pulling out the the path that's in between the two. I said the wrong thing, not the anchor point. You're clicking on the line that's between the two anchor points. I'm sorry.
Like this, you're a shitty businesswoman who built a piece of shit house that's gonna cave in and kill that fucking unborn baby any day. Hey.
What the hell?
Wow.
What was that?
I don't know. But I did learn somewhere that you can mute everybody. But I don't know how to get to it fast enough. Okay. Sorry about that. You're
Yeah, that's the line. See that line that comes up? That's what I see. What do you do
yes.
after you get that line?
Yes, ma'am. I said the wrong thing. You're clicking the line in between and you're holding down the Alt and the Shift
What?
key to pull out the line. Let me do it again. So I'm going to create a square.
Oh, it worked.
You,
Wait, what?
I got it now. I understand.
there's a
No, and then
line.
it didn't work. What?
I confused you by saying the anchor point. There's anchor points on the corners of the square, but there's a line in between them that's the path. When you click on the pen tool and you pull that line out while you're holding the Alt key down and the Shift key, it creates it perfect with the Shift. The Alt, you can see, goes all over the place, but if you hold the Shift down at the same time, it makes a perfect rounded corner. And I'm going to do it on the other side. For some reason, I can't do it right away. I have the same problem you do, but you can see that I can select that line right there. I go back to the pen tool, hold the Alt down and select that line. You're not the only one.
Okay, now it's doing something weird. It has the what in the world? So it has the I don't know if you can see my video.
Yeah,
Okay. Is it on the screen or is it on me? 'Cause I don't see
it's
mine.
on you.
Okay, turn around. So you see how it has
Yeah,
it's okay. And then if I try to do it from the center point,
no,
it's not coming out.
don't do it from the center point. You're doing it from the line.
Okay.
It takes some finesse. I will work on this and ensure that I'm telling you how to do this properly by Wednesday. I'm sorry for any confusion. I'm going to do the other side first because I seem to be having a hard time with the left side.
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Would it be possible if you just draw two circles and use the method of just what was it called again? Like
Combining the shapes together. Yes.
yeah, just do two circles and
Yes. I told you there's like 10 different ways to do this. And I'm proud of you for seeing sorry, I can't. He's saying to use the compound shape tool and put it in together. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to use the Pathfinder tool. Good for you. Y'all all give, who is that, Bayo?
yeah.
Everybody give Bayo a round of applause.
Thank you. I just noticed that.
So truly, a true illustrator can see shapes in objects. Yay, everybody. There's always an easier way to do it. Okay, we're going to create the club. And look at that. You create 3 circles first. So you go to the circle and I'm going to hold down the shift key to create 3 different circles. And actually, I'm not going to create 3 circles. I'm actually going to go and take my first circle and I'm just going to hold down the Alt key and duplicate it so that they're exactly the same. And then I'm going to highlight them together just like he did. Ensure I don't have the text in there. And I'm going to combine them together through the shape builder tool, like the Mickey Mouse that I made earlier. And then I'm going to use the subtract tool to create these two. So you can see where there's a circle, a square, and a circle, and then I'm going to subtract the 2 circles. So make a rectangle first. Make 2 ellipses. I make 1, and then I push the Alt down and create another one so that they're exactly the same. And you can see that it has created that shape in the middle. And for some reason, I didn't use it like this, but it's saying to hold down the negative whenever you, I don't know why you can't. No, that didn't work. It's saying to hold down the negative key when you make the shape tool, but it didn't work for me. Let's see. Group together. Use the shape builder tool to join them. Use the shape builder tool to join, hold down the option for the minus. Oh. Oh, I know what they're doing. They're using this shape builder tool over here. Okay. Apologies. New tool on the toolbar called the shape builder. The shape builder tool does the same thing as the unite tool, where it unites objects together, but you basically draw over them instead of clicking one button. You basically can click the shape builder tool and you can see that it's giving the different sections of the shape. And if you just took a line and drew over all of them, it would combine them all together, which is not what we want to do. So basically it's doing an inverse and it's allowing you to, you see how it turned to a plus when I click on these sections? It's basically telling you to subtract them by clicking the minus on your keyboard and you can subtract out the shapes on here. I'm not on the tool, so it's not working right, but shape builder, please work for me. I think I have them grouped together and it's messing me up.
May I suggest another one?
Sure.
You can instead of the unite, the one next to it, the minus front. I click that one, and it just basically, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank
I
you.
think they meant the minus front, but they type it out as a minus sign for some reason.
Minus front. Yeah. My bad, you're right. Okay, and now you're going to combine these two together. Make sure that this one is black. And then you're going to put these together and it will create your, combine the two shapes together and it will create the shapes. Oh, I did it sideways. My bad. Mine looks like a tree. I want this one turned. This is where you get somebody who's not an illustrator who's showing you how to do. Okay, that was the best I could do tonight on a video for your for your club. And then basically we're doing the same thing again with the square and the two hearts, and you're basically just flipping it upside down. So basically you can go back up here and take your heart and you could click Alt on your keyboard and create another heart. And you literally can just move this heart down to the bottom and you can rotate it. And it's told you on here to keep this shape, and I didn't do it, but I'm going to create it again just so that I can have another one. And thank you, Beo, for walking Rebecca through shapes tonight. And I'm just going to create this shape one more time. Extract it out. I got my base again. And I'm going to put the base on the bottom of the heart. Make them proportional. Turn that one black. And then combine them together without the text. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, those how you made that club again? Just the three circles at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I just made 3 circles. I made one and then I held the Alt key down on my keyboard and clicked it and made another one. And then I did the same thing and made a third one. Then I selected them all together and grouped them, and then I turned them. Does anybody have any questions?
May I have one that's not related to this class? Well, not today class. It's about the midterm.
Yes, sir.
What would we do for the midterm? Like, is it an assignment kind of like this, or is it like a
Yeah.
quiz?
Yeah, it's
Or
assignment like this, and you open it up and it's asking you to do things just like this, and you're timed and you just create them. But I'm
okay,
gonna
thank you.
walk through it with you.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, I'm gonna view and I'm going to fit all in the window. You should now have a diamond, a heart, a club, and a spade. Through trial and error on your teacher's part. Does anybody have any questions about this project? I'm going to save this. I'm going to create a second copy just so I don't save over the original. I don't think it would matter really, except that I'm just trying to show my work. And maybe I'm just going to call this the B version.
here's how to fix neck hunt just like that with one move. So lie on your bed with the edge of the bed right on your shoulder blades. Then take 2 fingers.
Okay. Okay, how are you feeling? Because we're at 7:20 tonight. Do you want to go and do the last section?
Stand up straight against the wall, push that chin off the wall.
Let me mute everybody on here. Is it Tristan?
See a lot of game.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay. How do you feel tonight? Can y'all give me a good vote of moving forward, or has it been too much on your brain?
I'm fine with doing another one.
You can move forward. We're having fun here.
I'm
Okay,
doing
so
fine.
I'm not going to trace tonight because that's the pen tool and that's a whole nother lesson. But I am going to go and do the cards so that you can feel comfortable not being stressed about doing this on your own and it be due Wednesday night. And then if you have any other questions Wednesday about it, you can ask me before the due date is over with. So I'm going to go and open up the deck of cards assembly. And just so you know, this is a project that was supposed to be done completed by yourself, but I'm walking with you through it to ensure that everybody has an opportunity to see how to create the project. I'm following the directions just like you are. It's hard for me to stop and follow their directions because I would probably just click through this because I know how to do certain things that just like Bayo has shown us tonight that there's 10 different ways to do the same thing. And I can usually make my way around and create this. You probably can do the same thing at this point in time. You should have open 2 documents. You should have open the shapes that you just created and the creating a deck of cards artboard. So the first thing that we're going to do is it's asking us to create the card first by using the rounded rectangle tool. So basically I'm going to go to my shapes first and I'm going to select the rounded rectangle tool and I'm going to draw out, it tells me to click it and it tells me what size to make the card. So if you don't draw and you just click, you'll notice that it comes up with a width and a height, and it will allow you to put in the width and the height of the card. And if you follow the directions exactly, it's saying the width is supposed to be 3 inches. The height is supposed to be 4.5 inches. And you're supposed to put 0.1 for the corner radius and click OK. This should create, if this is filled for you, it simply means that you have a fill turned on the top up here, and you can come and ensure that it's white because you want your card to be white. You could technically make this see-through, but you don't want your card to be see-through, so you still have to make it white in order to create the card white. And I'm going to create pure white right here. I do think they should have made it a wee bit smaller, but you can see that she has them overlap down here. But we're going to do that. We're going to overlap them. So I'm going to create 4 different cards before I get started. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to hold down the Alt key on my keyboard, and you'll see that my mouse turns to a double mouse. And I'm going to create 3 more cards, 2 more cards, and then 1 more card, which is going to be on the end over here. And just so you know, it's okay if you design off of your artboard, because we're going to bring those back onto the artboard when we get done after we group everything together. And what I'm going to do essentially is I'm going to build these 3 hearts with the number 3 on here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to lift the heart that I created. And you can do this either by edit, copy, paste. You can right click, copy, or you can go to your keyboard and hit Control C and you can copy this heart. Then you go back to your deck of cards assembly and ensure that you don't have anything selected. Just select off into here nowhere with your selection tool, and you're going to Control V or right click and paste or go to edit paste. Now you have your starting point for your first heart. I'm going to adjust the size of my heart so that I can put 3 hearts on it straight in a row. And I'm going to just approximate this. These don't have to be perfect. But I'm going to throw my heart in the middle right here. And you can tell that I still have an outline on my heart, and I don't want the outline. I want the outline to be gone on this. So you can set the stroke to 0, or you can select no outline, to select none on the outline, either one. So now that I have my heart, I want to duplicate it again. So the way you duplicate an object is you hold down the Alt key on your keyboard and you pull off of the original one. I'm going to do it again and make a third one. My hearts are all pretty big, so I'm going to just select all 3 and I'm going to hold down my shift key and I'm going to shrink them down just a tiny bit for this project. Then to create my little heart up in the corner, I'm going to hold down the Alt key and I'm going to make another little heart, but I'm going to resize it, but I want to hold down the shift in order to keep the proportions of the heart. Otherwise, I can just randomly put it any color. I don't really want that. I want to keep the proportions. So by holding down the shift key, I'm going to make this a tiny heart to go up in the corner under my number. And then I'm going to pick it up and move it up here. Now, in order to make, I do want to point something out to you too, that you can use the align tool on these cards. Oh, you're stressing a little, Reese? It's okay. You can come back and watch the video. You can align these together. If you have one of them off, you can ensure that you have all 3 selected. And just like we did earlier, you can select the align tool and it will align them together. You can also proportionally distribute these by doing a vertical distribute, and it will automatically distribute these. Otherwise, you can just do it by looking at it and kind of estimating where the heart goes. These don't have to be perfect. This is just giving you some practice of what you've learned by creating shapes and creating an object out of your shape. Now I'm going to put the 3 on there simply by clicking the text tool, and I'm going to draw out a text box down here at the bottom. And you can see that it's put a little text box. Let me get a bigger one just so that I can show you an example. I'm going to draw out a text box here, and I'm just going to hit the number 3 on my keyboard, and it's going to put a 3 in my text box. Now this 3 isn't formatted, and in order to format it, I'm going to highlight the text, and I'm going to open up the text window. I do not, oh, there it is up here at the top. We practiced this on the very first week under character when we did our name. You can open up the character panel. Mine takes just a second to open. And you can see, because I have the text highlighted, you can increase the size of the text either by pulling it down and increasing the size, or by pushing the up arrows and down arrows. I'm going to make my text Arial. I think Arial looks like the 3 that's in the demo for the picture. And then out of good measure, you see that I have this extra space open on the text. I'm going to close that up and clean up my text box 3 so that it only has the 3 in the box. Now you see the 3 sitting here, and I'm able to do the selection tool, pick up the 3 and move it up to the top of the card. If you want to make any adjustments, you can again by double clicking the text box and highlighting the 3 and adjusting it. Maybe I want to make it just a tiny bit smaller. So I'm going to open up the character panel. And I'm gonna point size it down. Then I'm going to the selection tool. I'm going to close up my box and I have my 3, and now I'm going to make it the same color as my heart so that they match. And there's my first card. I think on the real cards, you do take the 3 and the heart and you turn them upside down and put them over here. So for good measure, I'm going to take the 3 and the heart, and I'm going to, just so you can see how I do this, I'm going to right click it and I'm going to group these together so they don't accidentally come apart when I move it. And I'm going to take these and I'm going to hold down my Alt key on my keyboard and I'm going to move a second copy down here to the bottom. Then I'm going to make my mouse go in the corner of them, hold down my Shift key, and I'm going to rotate this upside down. And now I've created my first card. In order to keep all these objects together so I can pick my card up and move it on my screen, I'm going to ensure that my selection tool is clicked, and I'm going to draw a box around all these objects together. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to group them together. Just to ensure, I'm going to move it a little bit and you can see that the card is complete in this space. I'm going to repeat this for all 4 cards and then I'm going to stagger them just like they are right here. Note, I'm going to do a little bit of copy work so that I don't have to exactly do everything from scratch. So I will copy my text and move it over and create the other 4 numbers. So I'm going to walk through that right now. The 3 and the heart are in fact grouped together, and then they're in fact grouped all together. So real quick, I'm going to ungroup them and I'm going to go just to my 3 and hold down the Alt key. And I'm going to move it over so that I didn't mean to do the heart. Let me ungroup these because I had it grouped twice. Delete the heart. And then I'm going to Alt and select this one and move it over, and then make the Alt and select another one and move it over. And I'm going to go ahead and change these to the other cards that I'm making. So this one's going to be a 2. I'm going to highlight the text. This one's going to be a capital A. And I accidentally made 2 of them over here. So I'm going to double click on this text with the text bar, with the text tool selected, highlight it, and I'm going to make this one a 4. I'm also going to change the color of these. So my 2 needs to be black. And my ace needs to be black. I'm going to leave my other ones pink just because I can. All right, so under the 2, we have to go back and we're going to copy and paste the diamond that we created. Oh, mine's actually purple. So I'm going to Control C on the diamond. I'm going to go back to the card and I'm going to Control V and hit paste. And you can see that I have my diamond here. I also want to make this a little bit smaller. So I'm going to click on one of the corners and hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to manually adjust this to be the same height as or almost the same height. Now these need to be actually a little bit bigger because they're the only 2 on there. They can be a tiny bit bigger. Then I'm going to hold down the Alt key and select and make another one. I do need to also make the diamond that's under the 2, so I'm going to select Alt and I'm going to hold down the Shift key and I'm going to readjust the size for that one. I'm going to pick it up and put it under the 2. I'm actually going to change that to purple just because I can. And now that one still looks a little bit big, so maybe proportionally right there. Now I'm going to select both of them together by using the selection tool and holding on the shift key, selecting both of them, and I'm going to group them together by right-clicking and selecting group. Then to make another copy of this group, I'm just going to hold down the Alt key and select them and going to go ahead and move it down to the bottom. In order to rotate it, I'm going to put my mouse on the corner and hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to rotate it upside down so that there is the second card. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the ace. It's going to be pretty easy because all I'm going to do is go and copy and paste the, I think that's the spade. Put the spade in the middle. I'm going to make another spade by holding on the Alt key on my keyboard. And I'm going to hold the Shift key down to keep the proportions of it. And I'm going to make a little spade that's going to go right underneath the ace. Make a little bit of minor adjustments there. You can also use the up and down arrow keys and push shapes up and down in little points on your keyboard like I'm doing with my. Then I'm going to select the A and the spade together, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to group them. I'll do that right after this. Then to make two copies of this, actually right now you can just go over here and you can just click on the spade and you can right click it and you can copy and paste it over here. Now I'm going to hold down the Alt key and I'm going to make a copy of this group, pull it down the bottom right, and then I'm going to go to the corner, hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to proportionally turn it upside down. On the last one, I'm going to use the club. So I'm going to go back to the original design. I'm going to use their club because my club looks really bad. And I'm just going to right click and copy it. And I'm going to go and paste it over here. I'm going to resize the club so that I can make 4 of them on the card. I'm going to hold on the Alt key and create 2. And now for this one, you can see in the picture that the bottom 2 are upside down. So in order to create the top 2 and just duplicate it, I'm just going to select both of them. I'm going to group them together. And then I know there's an easy way that you can mirror, but you also could just hold down the Alt key and duplicate it. And then you could just rotate it all the way around and it would make another copy of that. So I do need to make a little club up here. I forgot to do that. So I'm going to ungroup these. I'm going to take one of them, hold down the Alt key and make a little club out of this. Put it under the 4. And maybe I want to make these all a different color. I can select them all at the same time. You can see how my bounding box is growing on these. And the bottom 2, because they're grouped together, is letting me select the whole group. And I could technically go and make these maybe blue. Okay. Now I'm going to take my 4 and select both the 4 and the club together. I'm going to right click and I'm going to group these. Then I'm going to hold down the Alt key on my keyboard, click it one time and make a duplicate of it. Pull it down to the right side, and then I'm going to go where it lets me turn it, and I'm going to hold down Shift key, and I'm going to rotate it all the way around. Now, the one thing I didn't do is I didn't group these together after I did them, so I need to go and group the cards together. And maybe I want to do a little bit of modification. So look, I'm going to select this spade and this card, and I'm going to do the Align tool, and I'm going to ensure that they're aligned, which it looks like they are. Make sure these 2 are maybe a little bit more centered. That looks good to me. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to make sure your selection tool is selected, and I'm going to select each card, all of the objects together, and I'm going to group them together. And now because they're grouped together, I can move each card as one card and I can overlap them. So let's say you want to put the 2 right here. We're going to put the ace on top of the 3 down here and the 4 right here. Maybe I want to show more heart. I see how she's showing. It doesn't have to be exactly like hers. But here's my 4 cards that I've made. And I'm going to go immediately into File. I'm going to do Save As. And I'm going to go to my completed file. And I'm going to save this first as an Illustrator file. Because if I ever want to come back and I ever want to make any adjustments to this, the only way to do that is to have the original Illustrator file to come back and be able to select each of these shapes independently and ungroup them and move them around. However, for the project, for the discussion, they're saying for you to upload, oh, look, they're saying for you to upload a JPEG on that. So in order to make a JPEG, I'm going to click File. I'm pretty sure you can't do Save As to make a JPEG, but let me just double check. I'm pretty sure you have to, okay, yeah, I'm right. You can't just click Save As. Illustrator wants to create a file that it can edit or an SVG file, which is a file, or a PDF file, which is Adobe's native file that it creates. However, JPEG was not created by Adobe. And so in order to create a JPEG file, you technically have to export this file out. So for this discussion board, you will have to click File, Export, and you will export. If this was multiple screens, you would have to select which artboard, but because it's not multiple artboards, you can just do export as, and it's going to let you export this file and choose from the different selections down here in the bottom as a JPEG. And this is actually my Rebecca Ward deck of cards. And I'm actually going to underscore this one and call it my discussion, because this is the one that you're going to upload to Ivy Tech. And you want to just so you don't get confused and ensure that it's a JPEG, hit export. And now it will come up and ask you what quality of JPEG. I typically lean more toward making my JPEG the highest quality because JPEG is already a compressed format. So it's not going to be too terribly much bigger to create a large file for a JPEG. You can also see right here that your screen is the resolution on the pixels per inch, which is something we have not talked about in here, has defaulted to 72. Just for your personal information, if you don't already know this, when you're exporting out a JPEG that you're giving someone for print, you will do no less than 300 DPI for your print job. However, because this is going to a discussion board, we're going to leave it at 72 pixels per inch or dots per inch. And this is important because when you're uploading things to a web browser or you're doing things online or an email, especially for somebody to do proofs, you really don't want to send a large file for somebody to proof that takes a long time for them to download. And you generally will leave it as a smaller 72 working DPI, or what they're calling PPI here. And you click OK. And now, in order to upload that to Ivy Tech, just so that you've gone through the entire process all the way from the beginning to the end, you'll go back to your discussion board. And you will click, you can either go to modules and click that discussion, or you can go to the 115.3 discussion thread deck of cards. And I'm going to have to select this to a student because right now I'm not the student, but I'm going to view it as a student so that I can show on here that I can upload this file. And you're going to reply. And on this reply, you're going to add a picture and you're going to talk about this. I really like my pink heart. I had a hard time creating the heart. However, Bayo was kind enough to show me a better way. You're going to take and you're going to select the picture on upload image. And you're going to click one time and you're now going to navigate to the JPEG that we just created, which should be on your C drive. In your name, in your visual, in your complete, in your 3. And it is the one called the discussion. It's the only one that shows up because Ivy Learn does not recognize a file being placed in here as an Illustrator file. So if you don't see a file, it's because you did not save properly a JPEG. You'll click open. There's my file. I'm going to click submit, which went off the screen just a little bit down here. And this is in fact posting my work into your discussion board. Oh, I hit reply, my bad. I think I did it already. Okay. And now I've also replied to as a test student on here. Bayo has already replied with his. He redid it because he did it the wrong way the first time. I see that, but I see his cards now. And now you're required to do the same thing. I'm going to end this video so that you can ask me questions and the people who need to rewatch this won't have extra video at the end. If you have any questions from me, you can email me. This particular assignment is due this Wednesday under the discussion board. So if you upload it tonight or tomorrow, it'd be great by Wednesday. And then you have to respond back to somebody by Sunday. Please try to evenly respond back to people who haven't had response so that we all can have a response. Let me... Oh, there